Rumours of my death have been greatly exaggerated. I'm back. So, I've taken a little bit of a break from YouTube, but I'm back and I'm really excited to get started with a new project. But having taken a break, one of the things I want to make sure I'm doing is putting processes in place to make sure that the way I make content is as seamless and smooth as possible to try and manage around a busy life, because it does take a lot of time. So today, as well as starting out a new build, I'm going to be trying out some new tech from Insta360, which should hopefully make my life a lot easier. But this is a woodworking channel, and I'm sure you want to know what we're building here today. So, we have got some American black walnut. It's pretty pricey American black walnut here in the UK. Got an American black walnut neck, and we have a rosewood fingerboard. So, what are we making? My last guitar was pretty out there. It was pink, fabric top, Telemaster, reverse headstock. Just kind of made it up as I was going along, but it was pretty out there. Today, we are focusing on something a lot more classic. It's all going to be about the wood, and we're making a Gibson SG-ish guitar. Now, I've not really thought this through, so I'm going to be making it up as I go. But the first task I've got is this wood is about 2 inches thick. Now, we don't need all that thickness for an SG, so I need to be able to take it down to the thickness that I need, about 35 mil, something like that. I am going to try and resaw it. It's not going to fit through my bandsaw. So we're going to try this by hand. It's not going to be fun. But that's what we're doing. So I took out my marking gauge, marked out exactly where I needed to cut. And one thing about having wax on the end of the board makes it much easier to see exactly where your line is, which is really helpful when getting started. So I'm trying to go for the 4-corner method, basically to start 4 corners, keep them on the lines, and then once you've got those 2 corners joined up on one end, it's a pretty straightforward job of just following the line and getting yourself through the board. Quick update, about 15 minutes in, cut my finger putting beeswax on the blade, and I'm really regretting my life choices. But we started, so we will continue. So while he does that, let's take a look at my new toy, the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro. And hopefully this is going to make my life much easier and give me a variety of different shots within the workshop, and just essentially be an extra pair of hands for me. Now, when I started on this channel, I got my first 1 million views just using an iPhone for all my content. And honestly, it's all you need because the quality is absolutely fantastic. Now, when I started, I was using this massive tripod for all of my content. As you can see, one leg has fallen off. We've got tape on the end to hold bits and bobs on. I think one of the legs is bent as well where I've stepped on it. So this is an absolute faff. It takes up way too much space, and I'm constantly tripping over it, kicking it, and just generally making a mess of things. Not something you really want where you've got sharp tools lying everywhere. Now, this thing is a lot more compact. I can put it down absolutely anywhere. It's not going to get in my way, and hopefully will give me a variety of different options for angles and things like that. Now, this thing seamlessly works with iPhone, so I'm using the Insta360 app here, but you can plug it into your iPhone, use your iPhone camera, and it's going to have smart tracking anyway, which is really handy. But also, all the controls for filming are down here, so you can manually adjust things on the go using the gimbal itself. If you're a cool Gen Z TikToker, then you can film all your content in portrait like this. Or if you are a millennial, it just takes 2 buttons and then you can film your YouTube content this way. You can also, with one tap, flip between different cameras to go from your front camera to your back camera, and it all just makes things nice and easy, as you can see. Now, one of the things that I do a lot is have like a top-down shot like this, so you can see exactly what's going on the bench, but it's great to have another shot over here, so you can get a wide shot and I can talk to the camera, and it basically hands-free, it'll track me wherever I go, and then I can come back to my overhead shot really simply without having to repeat myself twice, and actually just doing this straight away. I'm really going to like this, I can tell. I feel like some sort of like streamer or TikToker or something. Down with the kids, man. Now, if you're one of those people that likes to walk around filming your content out and about amongst other people, then you've got a selfie stick as well, which can extend the gimbal out for you. Now, I feel weird enough talking to a camera in my own garage, so I will not be using that feature myself, but it's there if you need it. One of the things I like about this is it has automated face tracking, but you can also just drag a box over absolutely anything in the frame, and then it will track it and make sure it keeps it in frame. Are you done yet? Not yet, keep going. I can already see how handy having that second camera on this gimbal is going to be for me. So if you want to check this out, then I will leave a link in the description below. I do get a very small commission on that if you do, but it doesn't cost you any more, so it'd be great if you can help out the channel that way. So thank you to Insta360 for sending me this. And as I said, I do quite like having an overhead shot, so maybe Insta360 have a little something for me there, which could help, and I could have a fully set up kit from those guys. So maybe we'll see. If this video does well, I might ask them nicely and see what we can do.
Okay, back to the resawing. This is where I really could have benefited from like a frame saw or something like that, but just making do with what I had, and in the end, we did get there. And as you can see, I was very pleased for that to be done. So there was a little bit of crossover on the cut lines, but this was a really, really thin piece to take off with a handsaw, so I got there in the end.
Okay, so now that we've done that for one of these boards, now all we've got to do is replicate that tiring, lengthy process for the other one.
Yeah, no chance. I'd rather burn this garage down than do that again.
See that? It's money. Right then, now that's a much more civilised way of doing things. That's now both boards planed down to about 35mm, which is where we want them. And we just need to joint them up and glue them up. But as I was running it through the planer, we've had a little knot appear, quite a big knot actually. That wasn't visible at all when we were looking at the boards before they were sawn, so that's going to be interesting. And hopefully we've got a template here, put a centre line on the middle, we should be able to just about miss it off somehow. So yeah, fingers crossed for that one. Hopefully it's not hiding anything else nasty under there. But now we just need to joint these edges up, get it glued up overnight, and then we can start carving it out and actually making it look like a guitar.
So I would love a dedicated electric jointer within the workshop, but there is just absolutely no space whatsoever for that. So we're going to do it old school with a Nicholson workbench and a jointer plane. So if you want to see how I built this Nicholson workbench, then I do have a full video and series on this channel, so please do go and check that out after this.
Not bad considering that's not been used for about 6 months. We're not going to win any Japanese planing competitions, but I'll take that. Hang on, what way did I have that? It's important to get the angle right. So, head that way and that way. So that way's that way, that way's that way. It's important to take the time to make sure you get the angles right, so that if this blade isn't straight, which let's face it, knowing me, it probably isn't, it offsets any differences and they match up anyway. So, not explain that well, but Google it, it's a thing.
So on reflection, I've decided to flip the template around just to get that knot away from the horn of the guitar, because that point on the horn is already asking for issues with tear out on the router. So if I can move it to a much more simple part of the guitar, then I'm hopefully going to minimize the issues I'm going to have down the line.
So, what we're doing this way around. Right, that doesn't really matter. Just think what we're doing, and we should be good. So we are going to use the tape and super glue trick for this one, just to stick the template down and make sure nothing is budging at all. Right, now the trick is getting the tape in the right place. It should hopefully mean I can stick this down nice and strong, but we're not going to have any issues getting it off either. So I'm just going to put some dabs of super glue down here on the tape, and then hopefully this will all peel off. Taking my time, line everything up on the center line so I can use that moving forward. Hope that's in the right place.
So as I was cutting this out, I thought this blade was wandering a little bit, and I thought I needed a bit more tension on the blade. You even see me open up the cabinet to do that. But actually you see that the blade guide is set right to the very top. I really needed to have pulled that down. I think I moved it to the top when I was seeing if my body blanks would actually fit through the bandsaw to save me from having to resaw by hand. So one of the benefits of filming yourself doing woodwork is you catch all your stupid mistakes. Now I've got it pretty close, I'm going to go around and flush it out with a router with a bearing at the top of the bit. I did actually start trying to do this on my router table, but it just did not like it. It was giving me the heebie-jeebies, so I've got a lot more control with a hand router, so we decided to switch it up. And while I've got that bit in the router, I'm deciding to hog out some space for the cavity, which is going to be on the back of the guitar. Now you could take this to a pillar drill, but I've got this pillar drill adapter, which is really handy. It just means you can grab it and go. And I'm going to use that to hog out a load of the space with a force and a bit, so that we can then come back with the router and smooth everything up afterwards. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description if you want to go check something like this out. Now that that's all nicely roughed out, just a 1 minute job to come back with a router and smooth everything up and get everything looking nice and tidy. I do have one little bit on here where the router was set a little bit too deep and I've undercut the template ever so slightly just here, but it's going to be hidden and I'm going to make sure I move on so you can't see it.
Right then, let's put you guys over here and grab the face. Right, so we've got ourselves a router bit with a bottom bearing on it, and we're going to use that just to finish off routing out this bottom bit. So the bottom bearing is going to run across there, and then take this off, and then we have a flush, nice body.
I'm really taking my time around the horns of the guitar just because it's so narrow and so thin. I don't want to have any tear out at this point, so I'm taking my time, just nibbling away at it, slow and steady. Also, you'd be amazed at how much sawdust can get through a tiny little hole on the top of the Starbucks cup. Ask me how I know.
Right then, so now we have a fully routed out body. So we just need to then change out the template and then put some pickups on the top. So with it being an SG, you could go P90s, but I'm going to go for some humbuckers. I need to change this out, whack that on, and then get all this good stuff routed out. Has the super glue and tape trick worked? Oh God, there's nothing to grab onto. Big old chisel. For that. Good thing is, because I'm going to be routing all this off, or shaping it all off at least, I don't have to worry too much about dinging the top. I mean, it definitely sticks it down, doesn't it? There we go. Key thing to remember here, this is the back. Don't route pickups on the back. If I routed the pickups on the back, there would have been a message on the screen there saying subtle foreshadowing. So if I haven't put that message up there, then I did it right. Okay, so we want the pickup cavities to be about 19mm when they're done. So it's got to go through 9mm MDF and then into the wood. So we want 28mm down, maybe drop it down a little bit, 27mm. So let's go 27mm is what we want the holes. Oh, that's new. Don't do that. Put the stopper down, you can turn the drill on. That could have been bad. So yeah, basically just using a depth gauge that you use for a router. Just put that on there, get an idea of where we want it to be. It needs to be higher than that. Very scientific. Should have loosened the depth stop. 27mm. Let's see if that actually happens or not. That felt like a long way. Don't panic, don't panic.
So you can see there's a little channel that connects the two humbucker cavities. My bit can't get through there because it's just too narrow for me, so I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to come back and fix that at a later date. It might just look a little bit weird for now because it's kind of gone in there a little bit. You've got this little bulge at the side. But I'm aware, you don't need to tell me in the comments. Thank you. Please do comment though, it really helps. Just comment, you missed a bit right now. Do it now. It will help the engagement. And while you're there, there's a subscribe button just really close. Just give that a tap for me as well, would you? Thanks.
So now we need to go back to this template. Not this template, wrong template. This template. And then we can route out the lip that's going to go on top of here where the cover is going to sit into.
Now this is a bit of a dicey one because obviously you only want it to be a very shallow little groove all the way around. I was using the shortest bit that I had, and still the bearing was only just registering on the MDF template, so I was going really carefully just to make sure I didn't gouge into the template and make a mess, because this one would be visible. It's really confusing that these templates have the cavities on the back and the cavities on the front on the same template. How I didn't mess it up, I do not know, because that's exactly the sort of thing I would normally do. As I crack on with the routing, this thing is getting lighter and lighter, which is one of the things that really attracted me to the SG. It's a thin guitar. I do have a Les Paul, but it weighs a ton, so I wanted something that's thin but has powerful humbuckers in there. I never actually even played one, but I remember seeing one when I was in high school. It's probably 20 years ago, but at the time obviously I couldn't afford one, but I really liked the look of it, and since then I've always had this thing in the back of my head thinking, why not give it a go?
Okay, so I think that's going to be it for this week. So as you can see, I still need to connect these little bits here. There's obviously a little bit of a ding there where it does connect through, but I've just not got a router bit that's small enough to go through the channel on the template, so I'll connect that up during the week and that'll be sorted. And then the next thing you need to do to make it an SG is to put the bevel on all the edges. So I'll go around next week, add the bevel, going around the outside, pretty straightforward. I've got a Shinto rasp that I can use for that. Any comments on what I should use for these convex curves? Because if I use a big Shinto rasp like this, that's not going to make a good job of getting in those corners and making things nice and smooth. So any recommendations, let me know. That'd be very, very useful. And then next week we'll also get started on the neck. So the neck, we do have some more black walnut, got a rosewood fingerboard. What do people think about inlays and things like that? Let me know what you think if I do inlays, Gibson style, or I do dots, which I've done dots before. I've never done inlays, so it might be something new to try, and whether I do a bound fretboard or not. Let me know in the comments below, and then give me any suggestions, and then it might make it into the build. So thanks for watching. Thanks for Insta360 for sending me this gimbal, which I'm filming on now. If you want to check it out, then please do check out the links in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.